Now boy them did not come so. Shake no day.
In a fiery and uncompromising letter addressed to Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanga Nji, Jean-Michel Ninchu, a prominent member of the National Assembly, has issued a scathing critique of the minister's handling of the civil protection in Cameroon. The letter, laced with strong language and biting accusations, demands the immediate resignation of Paul Atanga Nji, citing gross mismanagement and negligence in addressing recent natural disasters. Here is a report.
Jean Ninchu, Member of Parliament's statement, opens with an accusation of negligence, noting that the ministry failed to update documents concerning recent disasters, including the devastating Chang Cliff landslide. Ninchu criticized the omission as emblematic of a government detached from the pain of its people. He pointed out that even President Paul Biya had failed to publicly acknowledge the tragedy, which claimed numerous lives. Ninchu outlined two significant disasters that struck Cameroon in the latter half of the year. First, the floods in the far north that resulted in 17 deaths, displaced 368,000 people, and caused extensive damage to property, agriculture, and infrastructure. Second, the landslides at the Chang Cliff, which could have been mitigated had the Civil Protection Department acted promptly. Ninchu lamented the ministry's failure to heed warnings, including those detailed in Master's research theses from the University of Chang that had identified the risks associated with the cliff years earlier. He also criticized the lack of basic disaster response measures, such as setting up security perimeters, deploying trained personnel, or utilizing appropriate equipment. Managing is anticipating, the MP wrote, chastising Paul Atanga Nji for ignoring these warnings and failing to take action despite repeated calls for preparedness. The MP leveled damning allegations of financial mismanagement against the minister. He questioned the fate of billions of CFA francs allocated for civil protection over the years, noting that there is no transparency or accountability in the department's expenditures. Quoting a viral statement by Minister Delegate Yauba Abdoulaye, Ninchu highlighted that funds meant for flood victims in the far north were reportedly returned to Yaoundé without reaching the affected populations. "What have you done with this money?" he asked, demanding in disaster-stricken areas. Ninchu further accused the minister of failing to equip civil protection personnel adequately. During the Chang landslide, he noted, untrained individuals were left to dig through debris using rudimentary tools, while basic resources like tents for medical personnel and forensic teams were conspicuously absent. He also criticized the lack of decentralization in disaster response, which leaves regional authorities ill-prepared to act swiftly in emergencies. The creation of the National Civil Protection Agency is proof that civil protection under your leadership has failed miserably, Ninchu stated. He argued that the new agency should be granted full autonomy and control over all funds allocated for civil protection, warning that leaving any portion under Atanga Nji's ministry would render reforms ineffective. In closing, Ninchu urged the minister to resign, declaring his leadership a public health hazard. With biting sarcasm, he summarized Atanga Nji's tenure with the phrase, "Calamity Atanga Nji." The letter ends with a clear message. As long as Atanga Nji remains at the helm, meaningful improvements in civil protection will be impossible.